The 3 biggest mistakes that kept my co-coach Lucy overweight are not what you think. You see, when I was losing weight, once I figured out a system to help me make sustainable progress, I more or less kept making progress. Not so for Lucy. Even when she had found something sustainable, every time she made progress up to a certain point, she'd regain the weight back. And again, and again. It wasn't that these things weren't working for her, because the problem here wasn't external. Have you noticed that especially as you get closer to your goal weight, the moment you see a lower number on the scale, you end up overeating, skipping workouts, and undoing all the progress even though what you were doing was working? That's self-sabotage. And the reality is that if this part of you doesn't get addressed, no combination of diets, workouts, and hacks can help you reach your goal weight. And the majority of our Badass Body Boss students have to overcome self-sabotage first before they're able to maintain their goal weight for life. I want to spare you years of this up and down cycle that Lucy went through by sharing the 3 biggest mistakes she made and how to fix them. But if I just straight up tell you what these are, you won't fully get it because you need to understand the story that led to the perspective shifts. See, Lucy was the first in her family to be born in the US. Raised on typical American food and portions, she quickly became the most well-fed in her family. And her family never missed a chance to remind her how big she was getting. While it was all said in lightheartedness, over time, the words became beliefs, which became part of Lucy's identity. Separately, being different as one of only 3 Asian kids in school who also spoke broken English, Lucy had a hard time making friends and was often made fun of. Believing she was treated differently because she's overweight, she couldn't help but start associating all forms of negative treatments with being overweight. Even when she did make friends, she couldn't keep up with them on hikes and felt embarrassed shopping with them. So naturally, she looked for ways to lose weight, determined to shed the "I am fat" label. Like most of us, she started with the things that promised the fastest results, usually starvation diets and tons of exercise. When those failed to be sustainable, she worked on making changes to her habits and lifestyle and saw the pounds drop, until her goal weight was just within reach. She decided to celebrate, and that celebration spiraled into a full-out binge. Afterward, part of her would be mad at herself for binging, but another part would fight to defend her choices. After all, just one time doesn't hurt, right? So she'd celebrate again and again and again until she'd be back to where she started, wondering what happened. This cycle was repeated 7 more times. Each time she reached a certain weight, she'd self-sabotage and bounce back. When friends and family asked how it was going, she would fake that everything was going okay when inside it felt like Sisyphus's never-ending quest to roll a rock up a hill. Because whenever she jumped on a new weight loss plan, she was so confident and proud of herself in front of her folks that she didn't want to admit how much she was struggling when things backslid. But one day, finally, she broke through and met her goal weight. She was happy for a moment, then it faded. She wasn't happy anymore. Instead, she felt betrayed, angry, and scared. Then came the inevitable. I reached my goal weight, she thought, and still I'm not happy. So the problem can't be with what I'm doing, she realized. It must be me. She realized she was self-sabotaging, and if she couldn't learn to overcome self-sabotage, no combination of diet and exercise would save her. After months of deep introspection, she discovered 3 main mistakes she was making, and we have seen almost all yo-yo dieters make these same 3 mistakes, so listen up. The first mistake was thinking that weight loss was going to solve all her problems. This self-sabotaged Lucy because when she realized all her problems aren't getting solved, she started to turn around to now blame weight loss for her problems, throw in the towel, and eat with both reckless and self-righteous abandon. Lucy had to take a step back to get clear on why she actually wanted to do this. What are all the benefits for weight loss? For instance, these were some of the things that showed up for her. Then she'd filter these through the lens of reality. Which of these are objectively true versus based on stories and limiting beliefs? For instance, it's true that losing fat will help her have more energy and show up better for friends and family. Eating less processed foods and moving more reduces brain fog and improves mood after all. It's true that clothes shopping will be easier since the reality is there just aren't many plus-sized options available. But is it true that she'll love herself more? Thinking back to where this belief came from, she realized whenever she felt ostracized or left out, she would blame it on her being fat, which fueled the story that as long as she had fat to lose, she was unlovable. But that can't be objectively true because she saw plenty of people who were bigger than her finding friendship and love. This belief was based on a story that didn't serve her, so she crossed that out of her list. Once she filtered the list, she asked, how do they tie in with my dream life? This is the life she aspired to live, the feelings she wanted to feel daily, the version of herself she wanted to become: fit, lean, high energy, confident, and showing up at her best for herself and everyone around her. Tying her reasons for wanting to lose weight back to her deeper, soul-driven why gave her clarity and also served as guardrails to keep her from going back into self-sabotage territory. For instance, if she wanted to lose weight for more energy and what she's currently doing was making her feel lower energy, that's a sign to stop and reevaluate what she's doing to prevent inevitable resentment. And if you don't have a clear picture of what that life looks like for you, I recommend checking out this video where I share with you my process to figure it out. Mistake 2. Once she figured out her true why for losing weight, there was still resistance due to having fearful beliefs about being lean. And if you think, how can anyone fear being lean? Keep listening, because chances are, if you have ever experienced self-sabotage, you have these fears too. What Lucy noticed during her months of introspection was that whenever she made a food decision, it was like there was a devil, an angel on her shoulders, telling her opposite things. Lucy's background in psychology taught her that this conflict comes from wanting short-term satisfaction versus long-term happiness. But what her classes never taught her was why this devil's voice got louder the more she progressed towards her goal. It was only by charting her back and forth weight fluctuations plus emotional states over time that she realized her progress was restrained within a container of familiarity. Trying to bust through this container in either direction made parts of her feel deeply unsettled. If she gained weight past her high number, she started feeling gross and panicky. If she lost weight past her low number, she'd start fearing lifestyle trade-offs like missing out on food. Her psyche would come up with all kinds of fears to keep her in that safe zone of familiarity. And therein lies the key. She realized her shoulder devil wasn't just an advocate for short-term satisfaction. It was an advocate for familiarity, keeping her within this container, while her shoulder angel was the advocate for transformation, encouraging her to move the window to a new standard, one that's fit for her dream life. Since strong-arming the shoulder devil into submission never worked, Lucy decided to take a page from her negotiation courses to get her shoulder devil on her side by seeing things from its perspective first. Instead of why lose weight, she now had to ask the opposite. Why is it beneficial to stay overweight? Here were some of Lucy's answers, and the opposite of those represented the fears. She also paid attention to her shoulder devil script as she went through her day and noticed something funny. It would always repeat the same pitch over and over again like a used car salesman. Evidence for key fears. And once again, she filtered them into ones based on reality versus limiting beliefs. For each one based on limiting beliefs, she created a counter script based on reality to use against it. For instance, we deserve cookies because we have worked so hard and we never get to have fun. She would counter it with, I agree that we deserve to have fun, but eating cookies right now will make us feel worse later. And that's not fun. What else can we do to have longer lasting fun? I can think of many ways, so it's not true that we never get to have fun. Then she'd listen to her favorite podcast or go dancing, proving to herself that she could have fun without cookies. Deploying counter scripts and collecting evidence that life can still be good while losing weight eventually turned into a game for her, which tapped into the power of repetition, a powerful tool for shifting our beliefs. Because each time we repeat something, we're casting a vote in favor of the new reality we choose to live. Whereas in the past, Lucy subconsciously cast votes in one direction, she now consciously cast votes in the other direction, collecting evidence to finally make her shoulder devil feel comfortable with this new belief, thus allowing her to finally push the container forwards towards the transformation without resistance. But just addressing the fears wasn't enough, because despite all of this, she was still doing one thing wrong. She wasn't letting herself celebrate her wins along the way. By not doing this, Lucy instilled the belief that she didn't deserve to celebrate until she's made it to the end, which was why she was most likely to celebrate with a binge as she got closer to her goal, at the point where it finally felt like she was allowed to do so. Until then, she'd hide her wins from herself, which meant hiding from others too, making this journey feel lonely in addition to being unrewarding. Eventually, that pent-up anticipation would burst into a multi-day binge. But she thought, if I celebrate along the way, there'd be nothing to bottle up. So she celebrated everything, even if it was just losing a 0.1 pound drop, and even if it had nothing to do with the number on the scale, like choosing to go for a walk versus eating another cookie, being able to walk up one more flight of stairs than she could before, or even just not beating herself up after seeing weight gain. She realized that while numerical wins are great, if I don't celebrate my mindset and lifestyle wins too, I'm essentially casting a vote in favor of the belief that my mental well-being and livelihood are not worth celebrating. How sad is that? If the only thing worth celebrating is a number, she'd attach her identity to that number instead of the type of person she wanted to be, and thus be doomed to forget why she started. To prevent this from happening, Lucy also read her big why from step 1 over over and over again every day like a crazy person. And finally, she shared her journey with everyone. In fact, sharing her progress with her friends, both the ups and downs, led her to not only meet and maintain her goal weight, but actually enjoy the journey along the way. The entire process became a thing worth celebrating instead of something to be ashamed about. And having this deep support system is one of the best kept secrets of a successful transformation program. We have a culture of celebrating wins and helping troubleshoot struggles in our Badass Body Boss program that's not just about giving likes, but really having a deep understanding with one another so we can help move each other forward. If you want this kind of support from a coach or community, check out this sneak peek into our Badass Body Boss program in the description and comments below. By fixing all 3 mistakes, Lucy gradually started to embody the type of person who feels fit, lean, high energy, confident, and shows up at her best for herself and everyone around her. The more she stepped into this identity, the easier and more enjoyable the process became. Even on weeks where she slipped up and overweight, she was confident she could get back on the wagon immediately because she identified so strongly with this new version of herself. And that's when she remembered that in the past, she would think that after she lost the weight, the "I am fat" label would come off. But she actually had it backwards. Instead, it was only once she let go of the "I am fat" label herself that she could finally lose the weight, keep it off, and enjoy life to the fullest. So now you know the internal adjustments to help make your journey infinitely easier. But what about the external adjustments? Knowing how to think without knowing what to do is just daydreaming. 2 things. 1, if you want me to help you figure out a system that works for you, then my Badass Body Boss program may be a fit for you. You can gauge fit by checking out the free sneak peek below. 2nd, you don't want to ignore this video where I reveal my weight loss system and exact step-by-step of what I did to turn my life around so you can do the same for yourself. Check it out. And always remember, you can do it.